My name is Rebecca, and I'm in my 50s. Life has had its fair share of ups and downs, but the one constant source of joy has been my loving son, David. From the moment he came into this world, I knew he was destined for great things. His laughter echoed through our home, brightening even the gloomiest of days. As a young boy, David was full of curiosity and boundless energy. I would watch him as he explored the world with wide-eyed wonder, his tiny hands grasping at everything within reach. He was my pride and joy, my heart embodied in flesh and blood. "Daddy, look what I found!" he would exclaim, holding up a beetle he discovered in the backyard. His father would chuckle and ruffle his hair affectionately, while I stood nearby, a smile stretching across my face. Those were the simple moments that defined our happiness as a family. Time flew by, and David grew into a kind-hearted young man. His infectious laughter remained, now mingled with the wisdom and compassion that only age could bring. We shared countless conversations, ranging from life's profound mysteries to the silliest jokes. Our bond grew stronger with each passing year. One evening, as we sat in the cozy living room, sipping hot cocoa and exchanging stories, David turned to me with a twinkle in his eyes. "Mom, I've met someone," he said, his voice filled with a mixture of excitement and nervousness. My heart skipped a beat. The prospect of my son finding love and building a life of his own filled me with joy. "Tell me everything," I urged, unable to contain my curiosity. Her name was Emily, and David spoke of her with such adoration that it warmed my soul. He described her radiant smile, her intelligence, and the way she made him feel complete. "She's the one, Mom. I can feel it," he whispered, a dreamy expression on his face. A surge of happiness washed over me. "Oh, David, I'm so happy for you. To find someone who loves you as much as I do is a blessing beyond measure," I replied, my voice filled with genuine joy. "When can I meet her?" David's face lit up with excitement. "I'll invite her over for dinner tomorrow. You're gonna love her, Mom. I just know it." That night, as I lay in bed, my heart swelled with anticipation. The thought of welcoming Emily into our lives filled me with warmth. I couldn't wait to embrace her as part of our family, to shower her with the love I'd reserved for David alone. Little did I know that the journey ahead would not be as smooth as I had envisioned. Love, it seemed, can be a complex tapestry woven with both joy and heartache. Tragedy struck when David's father, my beloved husband, passed away at the young age of 45 in a tragic accident. Our lives were shattered, and the weight of grief threatened to suffocate us. But in the midst of the darkness, David and I found solace in each other's arms. Together, we embraced the pain and grew closer, seeking comfort in memories and the unbreakable bond we shared. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, but the ache of losing a husband and father never truly subsided. David and I became each other's pillars of strength, supporting one another through tear-filled nights and bittersweet memories. One evening, as we sat side by side on the porch, the setting sun casting a warm glow upon us, David spoke softly, his voice laced with vulnerability. "Mom, I miss him so much. I wish he was here to see how far we've come." I placed a comforting hand on his trembling shoulder. "I know, my dear. Your father would be so proud of the remarkable man you've become. He lives on within us, in our hearts and memories." A tear escaped David's eye, reflecting the fading light. "I'm grateful for you, Mom. Without you, I don't know how I would have made it through this." The bond between a mother and son is one forged in love, but also in shared pain. In that moment, as we embraced the sorrow that still lingered, our connection grew even stronger. We drew strength from each other, finding solace in the understanding that, despite the void left by his father's absence, we were not alone. Together, we navigated the tumultuous journey of grief, slowly piecing together the fragments of our shattered hearts. Memories became treasures we held dear, and our love for each other served as a lifeline, pulling us from the depths of despair. But amidst the healing process, life continued its relentless march forward. David's relationship with Emily progressed, and the seeds of joy and hope were sown in our hearts once again. We longed for David to find love and happiness, and Emily seemed to be the missing piece, the beacon of light amidst the shadows. And so, with cautious optimism, we welcomed Emily into our lives, hoping that she would find solace in our shared love and cherished memories. Little did we know the trials that lay ahead, as Emily's heart seemed closed off to the love that David and I so readily offered. Time passed, and David's relationship with Emily deepened. I watched from the sidelines, hopeful that our family would expand to include her and that the love we had cultivated would flow seamlessly among us. But as days turned into weeks and weeks into months, it became evident that Emily harbored a deep dislike for me. I made countless efforts to forge a connection with her, hoping to bridge the gap that seemed to widen with each passing day. I cooked their favorite meals, planned family outings, and offered a listening ear whenever she needed one. Yet no matter how hard I tried, her heart remained closed, her disdain palpable. One afternoon, as I set the table for a family dinner, I noticed Emily's distant gaze and the tightness around her lips. My heart ached, sensing the walls she had erected between us. Summoning courage, I decided to confront the tension head-on. "Emily, I've noticed that there's been a strain between us. I want you to know that I genuinely care for you and want nothing more than to have a loving relationship with you," I said, my voice filled with sincerity. She scoffed, her eyes narrowing. "Oh, please, spare me the act, Rebecca. I see right through you. You're just a useless old woman clinging onto your son for dear life. Well, newsflash, I'm his wife now, and I'm all he needs." Her words pierced through my heart like 1,000 needles. I fought back tears, refusing to let her see the depth of her cruelty. "Emily, I assure you, my intentions are pure. I'm not trying to intrude or replace you. I only want to love and support both of you." She laughed, a bitter sound that resonated in the room. "Love and support. Don't make me laugh. You're nothing but a burden, Rebecca. We'd be better off without you." The weight of her words crushed me, but I refused to let her see the extent of my pain. I smiled, masking the hurt deep within. "I understand if you feel that way, Emily. I'll continue to be here for David, regardless. I hope that someday you can see my love for what it truly is." Days turned into months, and I persisted in my efforts to mend the strained relationship, but each attempt was met with indifference and hostility. Emily's words continued to wound, tearing at the fabric of our family's unity. It became clear that no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't change her perception of me. The divide between us grew wider, leaving me with a bittersweet ache in my heart. I yearned for the day when she would realize that my love was genuine, that it knew no bounds. Yet, amidst the pain, I held on to a glimmer of hope. Deep down, I knew that love had a transformative power, and perhaps, someday, Emily would come to see the depth of my love and find it in her heart to accept me as a part of her life. Determined to bridge the growing chasm between us, I embarked on a series of desperate attempts to mend the fractured relationship with my daughter-in-law, Emily. I refused to let her disdain extinguish the flicker of hope within my heart. I delved into the depths of my creativity, searching for ways to connect with her on a deeper level. I cooked elaborate meals, carefully crafting dishes that I knew would tantalize her taste buds. I planned family outings, hoping that shared experiences would soften her heart. I even sought advice from friends and read books on building healthy relationships. I was determined to find a way to break through the walls she had erected. One evening, as Emily sat in the living room engrossed in a book, I mustered the courage to approach her. Taking a deep breath, I sat down next to her, nervously fidgeting with my hands. "Emily, I've been thinking a lot about our relationship, and I want you to know that I genuinely care about you. I want to understand your perspective and find common ground," I said, my voice gentle yet earnest. She glanced up from her book, her eyes narrowing in suspicion. "What's the point, Rebecca? You'll never understand. We come from different worlds, and there's nothing you can do to change that." I reached out, placing a hand on her arm, hoping to convey my sincerity. "Emily, I may not have walked in your shoes, but I'm willing to listen, to learn. Let's find a way to bridge the gap between us." She sighed, a hint of weariness in her voice. "You don't get it, do you? I don't want a relationship with you. I want you out of our lives. You're suffocating us." Tears welled up in my eyes, threatening to spill over, but I remained resolute, refusing to let her words crush my spirit. "I love my son, Emily, and because I love him, I want to be a part of his life. Can't you see that?" A flicker of uncertainty passed through her eyes, but she quickly dismissed it, shaking her head. "Your love is suffocating, Rebecca. It smothers everything it touches. I won't be trapped in that suffocating embrace." With a heavy heart, I realized that my attempts were in vain. No matter how hard I tried, Emily had closed herself off to the possibility of a genuine relationship. The love I extended was met with walls and resistance, leaving me feeling helpless and defeated. But even in the face of rejection, I couldn't let go. The love for my son and the hope for reconciliation kept the flame of determination alive within me. I vowed to continue my efforts to seek understanding and to find a way to break through the barriers she had erected. For love knows no bounds, and I believed that someday, somehow, love would find a way to heal the wounds and restore the fractured bonds of our family. As the days grew colder and the weight of my unrequited love for my daughter-in-law, Emily pressed heavily upon my heart. An unforeseen tragedy befell me. I became gravely ill, my body weakened by a condition I couldn't control. It was a heart attack that struck me unexpectedly, like a thief in the night. I was rushed to the hospital, surrounded by the sterile walls and the sound of medical equipment beeping in rhythm with the beats of my fragile heart. The doctors worked diligently to stabilize me, their expertise keeping me teetering on the edge between life and death. Days turned into weeks as I fought for my life, my body ravaged by the ordeal. Yet, in the midst of the physical pain, an even greater agony seeped into my soul. Neither David, my beloved son, nor Emily, my estranged daughter, in-law, came to visit me during my time of need. The absence of their presence tore at the already fragile threads of our fractured relationship. Finally, the day arrived when I was deemed stable enough to be discharged from the hospital. My heart still mending, I returned home with a mix of hope and trepidation. But as I stepped through the threshold of my apartment, my hopes were shattered, and despair settled like a heavy cloud in my chest. Gone were the familiar sights and sounds that had once filled these walls with warmth and love. The apartment felt empty, devoid of the life that once thrived within its confines. I searched room after room, only to find remnants of their presence scattered like fragments of a broken promise. My eyes fell upon the safe, the repository of my life savings, $400,000, a sum I had diligently set aside for rainy days and a secure future. But when I opened it, my heart sank. The safe stood empty, devoid of the security I had built over years of hard work and sacrifice. It was then that the truth unfolded before me like a cruel tableau. The pills, remnants of my hospital stay, lay discarded in the trash. Their purpose, once a mystery, became painfully clear. They had been placed in my food, deliberately triggering the heart attack that had brought me to the brink of death. One evening, while sorting through the remnants of my son and his wife's departure, I stumbled upon a hidden compartment in the bottom drawer of my dresser. It was a compartment I had never noticed before, concealed from view by a cleverly designed false bottom. With a mixture of curiosity and trepidation, I pulled open the secret compartment, revealing its hidden contents. To my shock and disbelief, I found a stack of documents, forged signatures, fraudulent transactions, and evidence of financial deception. My heart pounded in my chest as the truth unfolded before my eyes. The magnitude of their betrayal went beyond stealing my savings and orchestrating my heart attack. They had been engaged in a web of deceit, defrauding me for their own personal gain. Determined to uncover the extent of their deception, I pored over the documents, piecing together the puzzle that had shattered our family. It became clear that their actions were not merely driven by greed, but by a calculated plan to drain my resources and leave me destitute. Overwhelmed by a mix of anger and sadness, I felt a surge of resolve within me. They had thought they could break me, but they had underestimated the strength that lay dormant beneath the surface. Summoning the courage to confront the truth, I reached out to my lawyer, presenting the newfound evidence of their financial malfeasance. The realization that their actions went beyond the theft of my savings was both jarring and empowering. It solidified my determination to seek justice and bring their deceit to light. In a tense meeting with my lawyer, Mr. Thompson, I spread the documents across his desk, the weight of the betrayal heavy in the room. Mr. Thompson's eyes widened as he examined the evidence. "Rebecca, this is beyond shocking. We have grounds to pursue further legal action against them. We need to uncover the full extent of their fraudulent activities." My voice quivered with a mix of anger and determination. "I want them to face the consequences of their actions, Mr. Thompson. They not only stole my money, but orchestrated a heart attack. They thought they could get away with it, but we will ensure that justice prevails." Days turned into weeks as the investigation deepened, revealing a tangled web of financial deceit that extended far beyond what I had initially discovered. The truth unraveled, exposing their intricate schemes and deceptive practices, leaving no doubt about their guilt. As the evidence mounted, the weight of their crimes bore down upon them. The legal system, in its pursuit of truth and justice, worked tirelessly to bring them to account for their actions. The courtroom once again became a battleground, the arena where truth and deception clashed. Faces pale with guilt, my son and his wife listened as the evidence against them was presented, their expressions shifting from arrogance to fear. David's eyes met mine, a flicker of remorse shining through. "Mom, I'm so sorry. I don't know what got into me. I let greed and manipulation consume me," he whispered, his voice filled with regret. Emily, however, remained defiant, her eyes burning with a stubborn pride. "You think you've won, Rebecca? Think again. I don't regret a single thing. You were nothing but a burden, and we deserved your money more than you did." Her words struck me, but they no longer held the power to wound. I had seen through their facade, witnessed the true extent of their deception. Their attempts to justify their actions now seemed feeble and hollow. In the end, justice prevailed. The court, faced with the overwhelming evidence, delivered a final verdict that held them accountable for their crimes. They were sentenced to face the full extent of the law, their ill-gotten gains to be returned, and their freedom stripped away. As I sat in the courtroom, my heart heavy with a mix of sorrow and relief, I couldn't help but reflect on the journey that had brought me here. The pain of betrayal had been replaced by a glimmer of hope, knowing that the truth had been uncovered and justice had been served. Yet, amid the triumph, I couldn't shake the lingering sadness, a reminder of the bonds that had been irreparably broken. The scars of their betrayal would forever mark our shared history, a testament to the fragility of trust and the indomitable spirit that resides within a mother's love. The courtroom was hushed with anticipation as the final chapter of this painful saga unfolded. The weight of truth hung heavy in the air, and I found solace in knowing that justice was within reach. The evidence presented against my son, David, and his wife, Emily, was irrefutable, leaving no room for doubt. As the trial resumed, the judge's voice echoed through the room, his gaze stern yet impartial. The court will now render its final judgment in the case of Rebecca versus David and Emily. After careful consideration of the evidence presented, it is clear that the defendants engaged in a series of deceitful actions, resulting in financial fraud and harm to the plaintiff. Therefore, this court orders the defendants to pay restitution to Rebecca in the amount of $800,000. A collective gasp swept through the courtroom as the magnitude of the judgment sank in. David's face paled, and Emily's defiant expression crumbled, revealing a flicker of fear beneath the surface. The judge's gavel struck with finality, marking the end of this painful chapter. As the courtroom emptied, I stood there, a mix of emotions washing over me. The victory in court provided some measure of closure, but the scars of betrayal still etched deep within my heart. Outside the courtroom, my lawyer, Mr. Thompson, approached me with a sense of relief. "Rebecca, justice has been served. It was a hard-fought battle, but we prevailed. They will have to pay the restitution, and I will ensure that the funds are returned to you." I nodded, gratitude mingled with a sense of weariness. "Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Your dedication and support throughout this ordeal have meant the world to me." He smiled warmly, offering a reassuring hand on my shoulder. "You've shown remarkable strength and resilience, Rebecca. I have no doubt that you will rebuild your life and find happiness once again." As I walked away from the courthouse, a mix of emotions consumed me. Relief, sadness, and a glimmer of hope. The restitution provided a small measure of justice, but it couldn't undo the pain or mend the severed ties that had once bound us together as a family. Days turned into weeks, and with the legal battle behind me, I focused on rebuilding my life. The apartment that had once been a sanctuary now held painful memories, reminding me of the love lost and the betrayal endured. I made the difficult decision to move, seeking a fresh start in a place untouched by the ghosts of the past. As I settled into my new home, a sense of liberation washed over me. The weight of their betrayal no longer defined me. I channeled my energy into self-healing, surrounding myself with supportive friends and engaging in activities that brought joy and purpose to my life. Time toved to be a gentle healer, allowing wounds to gradually mend. I nurtured the relationships that remained, cherishing the bonds of true friendship and family that had stood the test of time. And in the depths of my heart, I held on to the hope that someday forgiveness and reconciliation would find their way into our lives. For I had learned that the strength of a mother's love can endure even the most unimaginable trials. It had carried me through the darkest of days, and it would continue to guide me towards a future filled with love, resilience, and the unwavering belief that the truth, no matter how obscured, would always prevail.